welcome to the Art of Franchise Marketing. Each episode takes a deep dive into the franchise space and explores how the biggest and best brands handle national branding, franchise development, employee recruitment, and localized marketing on a daily basis. This podcast is brought to you by Netcertive, a localized digital marketing partner for franchise networks. Netcertive talks shop with franchise executives to discuss what's working, what's not, and answers the question, what else can you be doing to excel at the art of franchise marketing?
Hello, and welcome to the Art of Franchise Marketing podcast. I'm your host, Erin Martin, and this episode is brought to you by Netcertive. Today, our guest is Laura Rice, the CMO of Huffman Family Brands, which is an umbrella brand over the large family of brands that includes Celebree School, which we'll be diving into and talking about today. So Laura, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I've been doing marketing for a very long time, 28 years now. It's hard to believe. So back before things like Facebook and trying to be creative when there wasn't the things that we have today. So it's just a really exciting time to be a part of marketing. As you mentioned, I've been with Celebree School since June of 2021. Had a little bit of franchise experience prior to that, but this is really where I've gotten a lot of franchise experience and franchise knowledge and working with franchisees. It's been great. Celebree School has been around for 30 plus years and decided to franchise the concept in 2019. And so we have 26 corporate locations open, with a 27th coming this year, but it'll be the last corporate center that we open or location that we open. And we have 29 franchise locations open at this time, with 20 expected to open this year, which is exciting. And we have about 160 in various stages of development. So a growing brand. It's really exciting time to be there.
I love it. I'm excited to dive into all things marketing. I know that I've seen you talk on a panel specifically about the customer experience, which is awesome. And you also know, I don't want to date ourselves, you're an OG marketer when you remember mobile coming in as being a big thing. Solo Mo or whatever it was called. Social local.
Oh my
mobile.
God. We were back when we were doing yellow page advertising. So people don't even know what the yellow pages are anymore. Yes.
Awesome. You kicked it off already because usually I like to dive into a little bit more about your role and background. So can you talk a little bit more specifically about Celebree School and the initiatives that you have going on right now?
Absolutely. So one of the things I love about Celebree is how much we care about strategy, and it's just ingrained in our culture. And this week has been a week of strategy conversations, both on the corporate side and the franchise side. So this is such a great time to talk about our current initiatives that we have coming up. One of the things that we put in place last year that's been really helpful is with our franchisees, taking them and splitting the marketing professionals that are helping them to ones that are helping developing schools and ones that are helping profitable schools. So there's different marketing strategies that go into helping to support them. The ones that are new, brand new, they need a lot of support. They need to understand just the things that we take for granted as marketers, to understand what's an integrated campaign, how all the things work together, how it may seem like a lot of money in the beginning to get this off the ground and ramp, but it's so important to start off on the right track. So just explaining the different channels that go into that funnel that they need to pay attention to. So there's a lot more effort and hand-holding and just being very supportive in that role of understanding they need the education of marketing. And then we have
And real quick on that one then, so it sounds like you've got the different playbooks
Yes.
for segments, but do you have actual different partners then too? Or is it just different playbooks?
So are you talking about like vendor partners? Yeah. So they're the same vendor.
Okay.
That we have for both. Yes. But it's just far as our strategy and the way that we have conversations and the things we want them to concentrate on are a little different. So we try to explain when they come here for our decision day experience, our meet the team day. Remember, you're trying to fill a whole entire school. So you want to come out guns blazing to be able to hit the performer goals and not get behind before your school actually opens. We want you enrolling before those doors open. So as soon as you name your school, you want to be out in your community, making partnerships, getting people to know who you are. Because remember, we're still an emerging brand. So people don't really know who Celebree is, even though we have a ton of people in our pipeline. It takes 18 to 24 months to open. So as we open more schools, it gets better. So this year with 20 coming, it should help. But still, you need to be the face of your Celebree School. You've put a lot of money into this, so get out in that community and tell people who you are. So we want to make sure they understand that elevator pitch too, just those basic things, those simple things that are second nature to us. And what we call community connection, so that's the grassroots side, which helps make the engine run. I think in that, like when you're a developing school, you're concentrating so much on digital because it is expensive based on, if you compare that to community connections. However, you need to do your grassroots marketing because that's what makes that engine work.
Yeah.
Just getting that across. And then for the profitable schools, the ones that have been doing well, they're really looking for that space available. So not trying to fit a school anymore, looking for that targeting, advertising targeted to their school of who they have. We don't want to cast the wide net, and really going out in the community to fill those spaces and being able to remarket to lost opportunities, remarketing campaigns through Meta. So there's different opportunities there that align with those strategies for profitable schools.
Yeah, makes sense. Love it. What other hot topics were part of your strategy sessions or initiatives that you guys have going on?
Yeah, so the brand fund, I was going to touch on the brand fund because we actually just launched ours in March. Yeah, so we haven't had that support because we are based in Maryland, and a lot of the schools that we opened were here. We have 26 or 24 in this state and 2 in Delaware. We were able to have that brand recognition for those new franchisees coming in. So when we started branching out to like Northern Virginia, which is pretty close, and they had a little bit of the brand awareness, but now that we've spread out to different states, the brand fund has really helped to support those markets. And I'm excited because each year there's more people to be able to contribute to the brand fund. And we understand it's a longer play. They're looking like, what did that get my school? And it's a longer play for the entire brand, just educating people on that. But still, I would categorize it still in its infancy stage. So I'm excited to have 1 year under our belt and be able to get more funds into it to do more things, like CTV is going to be a hot thing for this year.
Yeah. And what did that process look like? Because I know there's a ton of other brands in your shoes where they don't have that. And it almost seems daunting to try to implement that change.
Yeah.
Because there's the actual FDD side of it, but then there's the change management with the network side of it. So what did that process look like for you guys?
Yeah. And the thing is, we had it in our FDD since inception. We just never enacted on it. So there's different people that have different FDDs that they're following. So originally you didn't have to contribute for a year after you've been open for a year. And then we've slowly, as we've expanded, have ramped up the percentage, and we plan on ramping that up again to try to get to where the FDD is saying now, and really enact it on day one because it's so important, especially as we've gone to these markets. But we met with outside other companies, other brands that have done this. We've worked with them, like Heather McLeod was somebody that I spoke to. Like, she was really great in like helping us. Ben L'Italian was really great in helping us. So reaching out to experts and try to get it off the ground to make sure we're all speaking about it correctly, and then educating our franchisees on the importance of it and letting them know how we're spending the dollars.
Yeah. And what does that look like for you guys in terms of where you're pointing? You mentioned CTV for the brand fund. Is there anything else you're focused on deploying those funds towards versus what you have at the local level for Z's?
Yeah, so we're doing high level, like branded social, like digital marketing, like that's just brand specific, not school specific. So trying to help make their local dollars more impactful by doing some of this digital on our side. So again, with the amount of money in there, it's been a challenge. So we're hoping to do more things. This year, I'm really excited because our vendor is going to be doing a benchmark, like brand lift study for us. So we'll be able to have those benchmarks of how well this is doing, which will be really good to make decisions going down the road for CTV.
Yeah, nice. And what else are you guys seeing work or not work in terms of digital marketing right now?
So it's funny you ask, because we have seen like some really good experience from organic versus the paid links. So especially in the profitable schools, I think people are just savvy shoppers. I know I shop that way. I don't know if it's just because I'm in marketing, but I never click on the paid links. I think they understand that they can get a better experience by clicking on the organic. They'll probably get more information versus it being salesy, potentially, like going to the landing
like
page.
Just do this.
Yeah. So I think it's been helpful for people to come to the website and learn more about it and then submit their form. So we're seeing that has been a trend where the organic not got to put more effort into organic, which we are doing. This year we plan on doing individual school blog pages, where before it was just on the high level corporate, but we're going to be doing keywords for each of the schools and turning them into blogs, like taking those top keywords, which will be really good for SEO. We're concentrating on localized SEO.
Nice. Yeah, I was just talking to a franchise marketer the other day, and they have a very similar strategy, like local SEO for them, and focusing on the location pages and local blogs, and SEO is where their juice comes from.
Absolutely.
Which obviously enhances the whole site and conversion rates. But
yes, and I would say too, just to add that and every franchisee, we want this, is those community connections. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but if they're not doing that, or if they're like not putting signs out, or because a lot of times these schools are tucked back because we don't want to be on a main road with, so they need to do whatever they can to in their local area to help the digital work. So that could be impacting the digital marketing, suffering a little bit, but so it's those kinds of things that are going to help, that might help change the trajectory of the paid ads.
Yeah, even I always say all the time, like even if you've got a very strong word of mouth, credibility in the space, like at some point someone's going to go online and research or validate or look for that social proof. And so if you have the polished brand along with your friend's word of mouth telling you it's the best thing since sliced bread, everything aligns, it's a no-brainer.
Yes.
But if I research something and there's like blank or broken things, or you're like, who am I dealing with here? If they don't have their shit together here, do they have their shit together there? So it's just this automatic like distrust in the experience.
Absolutely. And we've worked really hard back to a little bit about the brand fund and just our strategy overall. PR, public relations, has been a huge factor in helping to get our name out there. Positive PR stories or news stories within local communities. We've even had franchisees on TV this past year. So it's been really great. And some of that comes out of the brand fund. Some of it comes out of our other individual budgets. But I love what we've done there. And this year we've actually put together our whole calendar for the year, is what we want to do from a PR perspective. So quarterly campaigns, and got that out to the franchisees. So we gave them examples and content and all the things that they can use for each of these quarters to help make an impact across all the brands. Because a lot of times too, they think they're in competition with each other when we have to change that mentality of, no, we're all working together for this one brand. And really, if somebody can't enroll at your school because you're full or you don't have room, you want them to go to the Celebree down the street. And remember, vice versa, you want them to send people to your school versus going to a competitor. So just trying to change that mindset of, my digital marketing brought in this person and they went to that school, but it's all helping the brand be successful. So it's just all that overlap of explaining the importance of, we're one united brand.
Yeah. And is this a problem for you? I'm just curious, because I'm a mom and I just got out of the daycare world, which my pocketbook is so happy about. But I could see the wait list for schools are crazy. And so do you deal with the situation where franchisees are like, I have enough demand, I don't need to market? Is that a thing you have to deal with?
There's a couple that are like that right now, but they're still doing their grassroots. They're just not necessarily spending it on the digital. So they don't stop. It's just the mix changes, because they understand that at any given day they could lose 3 people for what kids graduate, kids are moving, all kinds of things. So they always want to make sure they're building that wait list. And so it doesn't stop. It's just maybe the spend changes as far as where they put their dollars.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. And I know I mentioned that the first time I saw you was when you were on a panel at FranCXC, which I loved, which was my first introduction to you and all you're doing on the marketing side. And so I'm curious, one thing I've also been talking to a lot of marketers about is just how to better harness and use data. So I'm curious how you guys approach a lot of data, not just for marketing, but also the customer experience, since I know you're super passionate about that piece.
Yes. Yeah, so one differentiator about us is that we actually have our enrollment center located in our building here in Baltimore, where our corporate headquarters are. So that is a huge game changer, because we are able to put a lot of training and expertise over in that room that gives that consistent experience to any family that's calling in. So right there, that is like bonus, because the schools don't have to worry about taking those calls. We can train these people. They're learning from people next to them. It's just a really great experience. And we know we're doing constant checks and to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, the Celebree way, the culture that we've established here, which is to get to know the people over the phone. And it's not just about sales. So taking all the information you have and really tailoring that conversation to the needs of the family and getting to know the family, like not just what grade is the student, it's what are their likes, what are their dislikes, and trying to match them up with the right school. And then also being able to tell them, hey, I just want to let you know that there's actually a school closer to you based on where you live. I just want to make sure you understand like the best situation for you. And then what we're talking about too this year is more of that collaboration of the other brands. If there's another brand that we offer that could be more suitable for that family, like introducing that brand to them. So anyway, having control of that experience really helps us know that the parents are getting the best possible experience they could get. So that's one. The other things that we're doing for our franchisees is we use a system called SIMS, which I think maybe a lot of people do, but it's a data warehouse that maps different things like where we should put the best locations, where our enrollments are coming from. It also shows the franchisees where they should be doing like their community connections, because this is where all your enrollments are coming from, where you should find partnerships. So we're sharing that information with them along with like lead source reporting and things so they understand this is where I want to put more of my dollars. We also, through our digital vendor, have call ratings. So they're able, for the calls they take, they're able to rate the calls, which closes that feedback loop for Google, try to find more leads like those. So those are some of the ways that we're using data in here.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And so with Sims, how do you guys get that information and education then out to franchisees? Do they have something they can log into every day? Do you just do quarterly webinars? What does that look like?
We actually download the reports for them and put them in folders. I believe it's on Teams. Most of the stuff that we're using is in Fran Connect. So there's a couple different places where we put stuff. And then we're having calls with them, each of the individuals I was talking about that are responsible for these different groups of franchisees. They are talking about those things on their monthly calls. So they're going over it, making sure that they understand, because things change. And so just want to make sure that we're aware of any changes, if there's a new neighborhood coming up or things like that. Like we want to keep updating that data. I believe we update it quarterly and Sims updates annually as far as their data, but the enrollment data goes in there quarterly and updates.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
And then another thing I've been asking everyone too is what their favorite AI tools are. I know there's been a few examples related to data in terms of just helping crunch a lot of the data analysis and insights or gathering competitive intel. Basically took an AI agent to go out and scan a bunch of competitor reviews, get insights, and then be able to develop talking points for their team on how to talk about their brand versus competitors. It was a home service brand. So using AI to be able to just do that analysis that you could hand comb through for efficiencies and insights and learnings. And so I think there's other ways that you can crunch data that's not just, okay, we have a CDP, let's understand the digital funnel. Like that is epic and amazing in and of itself, but there's a lot of other little tips and tricks coming about from marketers or just like tools they're using. So yeah. I'm curious if you've heard or use any good ones, like what bubbles up to mind for you?
Well, what bubbles up to mind for me is that we need that. So I think internally
a lot of people are at that point.
We're going through that process. So we're actually been meeting with some people internally about all the different systems that we have, because again, we were small brands that like grew up overnight and we're all in these different systems, whether it's in finance, marketing, development. So we are in that process currently right now of just getting us all those systems to be able to talk. And then because it's all about the data that you have, and if you have garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. So we're in that process of trying to clean things up and get into a place where we can have something like that would actually help us versus just turning something on and it's like we're not getting anything out of it. So you have to be really prepared to have something like that, which I'm excited for those days. I feel like it's coming soon, and excited to meet people at IFA in a couple weeks that maybe offer some of these services too. That could help.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I know one of the big talking points related to data at FranCXC last year was literally like data is the key of anything that you want to do, and the ability to harness that, and AI could be the path there. And I know that one of the specific pieces that we were talking about too was like, don't just collect it for collecting's sake.
Exactly.
Like, if you're gonna collect something, use it. And actually, there's more security issues or privacy issues if you're just like collecting a ton of things and then causing more problems for yourself. So be very specific about your approach and what you're gonna do. And it feels like the same thing with AI. Like, don't just use an AI tool because of what it does. Figure out the problem you're trying to solve, and then figure out the AI tool that can best help you get there.
Yes, that's a really good point. Nope, that's a really good point.
A whole new world.
A whole new world. And the thing is too, it's like when the internet phenomenon started and there were so many companies and then a lot of them went under, and it's that same type of thing here. It's waiting to see, I guess, which ones are going to bubble to the top and be like those ones that are really the game changers. So I'll be excited to have those conversations with people and just see what they're using. On a personal note, some of the things that have helped us here obviously is Chat GPT. Everybody loves that for conversation starters or just summing up information or making things more concise. I know I can be like a little, I have a lot of things to say. We're marketers. We love to make things fluffy. Really like getting things down to bite-sized chunks. And Otter AI is something that we've turned on here for some employees. So it's for, if people don't know, it's for note taking on calls. And it's great, especially with franchisees, because then you can just concentrate on what you're talking about. You can get those action items after the fact, but also you can go back and check conversations just to make sure and verify things. We've had some things come up and it's been good to be able to go back and check that stuff.
Yeah. Yep. We use Fathom AI for our meeting stuff and have loved it. One thing that's very cool too, I know I've shared this tip before, but one thing we've done as well is when we've had conversations or trying to understand what our own customers' pain points are, like some of the hottest trends that we're hearing, we can take all of those recordings or transcripts, pop them into Jasper or ChatGPT, and summarize all of the conversations, like what the themes are, similar to call an AI analysis, but it's that deeper level, like customer understanding and insights.
Yes.
So there's things like that where it's, okay, what do you have? Whether it's calls, transcripts, videos, like any medium, it's almost like that you have today, you could do an analysis on if you get creative. And that's the fun part. It's, oh my gosh, you get to be so creative on ways to approach problems now. You'll have to almost forget everything that you had learned on how to do something and just rethink the problem solution. Like,
Absolutely.
Okay, high level, I have this problem.
Yeah.
What could help me do it? If I just wave my magical wand and AI could do it. That's how you have to think about it
Absolutely.
these days almost.
You also have to check it sometimes too.
100% as well. Yes.
Do you guys do the paid version of Fathom? So you're like,
yes, I do.
Yeah, because that's one thing our IT team, they worry about, like just putting things in the open AI, like on chat. Yeah, like you have to be really careful because then it becomes searchable. So you have to be really careful of where you put stuff. One of the other tools that we have too, we respond to all of our franchisees' reviews for them. I'm not sure if that's a common thing, but it's a time saver for them. Plus it also helps making sure that all the responses are on brand, but we make them very specific. But there's AI within the tool that we use that helps with the review writing as well as listings optimization. So it'll give us like what we need to change to make them better. And it's like a touch of a button. It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and to your point, it's a great first draft, and then you can always refine and do it. But
yes,
sometimes it's really hard to get that ugly first draft
down. This is what you do for a living. Like when you're always trying to write and come up with things, it's a great place to start. It can be like, give me topics of. We'll be in meetings and somebody will just stick a word. If we just came up with a new word, we want to go out there with our brand. Like we'll put it into ChatGPT and it comes up with all these things that we could play on words to use it in marketing. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
And so one thing, back to the strategy piece, I love that you guys do focus on strategy. I think it's one of those things where, especially if you're a small marketing crew, it's really easy to get sucked on working in the business as opposed to on the business. And so I'm just curious for you guys, what from like a cadence perspective and like strategy meeting perspective, like what does that look like for the year for you guys to stay on scoping out time to work on the business?
Yeah, so we meet on a monthly basis to review strategy to make sure we're performing, not performing, are we on the right track? And if we're not, which way are we going to go? Like, how are we going to change this? Strategy is still extremely important. Internally, we have a weekly meeting, like in marketing, we meet every week. We all sit together. We don't work from home. So we are constantly collaborating on a daily basis, which is great. I always say email in real life, and I walk over to this cubicle. So it's just nice to be able to collaborate, and I love this team because we're all very similar, which is great. When you have good culture fits and you just see the next person coming in, it just gives you the chills to the bone. Oh my God, we found another one of our people. And so this team is just built on people that want to help each other, want to bring great ideas to the table, because we're constantly challenged of, okay, how are you going to elevate strategy this year? Because strategy isn't about your everyday business. It is about those things that are going to now take you to the next level. And some of them work, some of them don't. So you're doing that testing. So we want to make sure we're meeting about it, looking at the data and reviewing. And that's like the most important thing that we can do here.
Yeah, so I love that. I'm literally taking a note on that quote you just had on strategy, because that's the important piece. It's if you don't pull your head out of the sand to look around at a super high level every once in a while, like you're going to miss that big thing that you know is going to be hard, but you have to do to make that 10x improvement and keep growth.
Yes, and we're really good about like getting heads in a room. And so I popped a meeting on the calendar on Monday to follow up with the team, making sure that we're all prepared for Tuesday and Wednesday with big strategy meetings. And everybody felt so good when we walked out of the room. So I think finding that time, and it's so hard to find time because everybody's time is valuable, but it's so important because if you don't have clear direction, what are you doing? And one thing they added this year, like we have a mission and vision here at Celebree, and we read it at every meeting. Like each brand has their own. We're very tied to it. And what we were challenged to do this year was for each strategy within the whole strategy was to come up with a vision and a why of that actual strategy. So we each have one of those. So it's because our CEO, Richie, in the meeting, who always say, why are we doing this? So I think it really does help answer that question. And it helped us realize, okay, we need to be better. We need to bring this up a level and figure out what we're going to do this year that's going to move the needle.
I love that.
And stay apart from our competitors.
Yeah, and you mentioned checking in on performance and whether you are reaching it or beating it or falling behind. What does performance look like for you guys in terms of those benchmarks of success?
Yeah, the benchmarks for success are really, it's about the franchisees. So are they hitting the potential goals that they need? So we call our leads potentials. Are they hitting those potential goals for the schools? So for the developing schools, they have a pro forma they're trying to hit profitability. For the profitable schools, it's really trying to keep them at that profitability. So each one in the profitable has different goals. And then for the developing schools, they're all pretty much the same, trying to get into that certain percentage. So that's really performance on the school side. There's other ones we have too, looking at the
Yeah, explain some of the other brands that you guys have in your family.
Yes, and we have even the Fran Dev business. So that's separate from the franchise school marketing. I work on the Fran Dev marketing, so looking for franchisees to enter the Celebree family. So I'm responsible for driving in the quality leads to the sales team to convert to award. So each year that goal keeps going up and up to try to get more people in, which is great. So that's awards is a huge awards and royalty revenue. Those are the things on the Fran Dev side. We have enrollments from some of our other brands. We have a before and after school program in Maryland that we have 44 schools that have it in the actual elementary schools, which is great. So my daughter actually goes to one and she loves it. It's nice having them in one location. They have enrollment goals as well, and we're always trying to push those too. And that one has a captive audience, so it's really challenging because you don't want to spend money. There's no point in spending money on digital marketing. So it's really doing the grassroots, getting in that school, making those relationships, similar things. It's just all in one location. And then we're going into a brand Celebree Property Investments. So we're becoming landlords. We're finding amazing buildings, properties that are in locations or in cities that we want to be expanding into, and purchasing the building and then having an investment opportunity for our franchisees to put money into these buildings. And it doesn't have to be the franchisee that is going to be in that school. It can be, or it can be other ones. So just looking for more wealth opportunities for our franchisees, which is great. And then our CEO has his own brand as well. So the Richie Huffman brand and his podcast, Enrich Your Empire. So we're working on his brand here as well.
You're not busy at all.
No. It's a great place to be. It really is. And we do have shared services in here. So it's really great that the expertise that the people have on the team can then share that across the brands. We get ideas from each other. It's a lot of sharing going on out here, which is just really vital. And like I said, we all work really well together. There's not one person in here that I would leave. I'm really blessed to have them.
Love that. And yeah, I know the shared services and how you navigate that is a big thing for anyone who's part of a platform or umbrella company, because there's so many different ways you can do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious how you guys think about that, and like what you do right now versus what you wish you could implement and what it looks like for you guys.
Yeah. So with shared services, and I'm looking outside, like we have a graphic designer here, and she's the graphic designer for all of the brands. So she's really the keeper of those brands. And what we do is we have a ratio on how many one person can handle as far as they're working with franchisees. So there's a ratio from marketing professional to number of franchisees, and then we'll go and hire somebody else. So right now we have just brought in a coordinator who is now supporting the two marketing people that are working with the franchisees, that will then go into that position, and we will then just keep backfilling her position as we get to that number. So the number has changed slightly just from the amount of people in the developing stage, because we have so many that we're opening. But that's how we look at it. We have to, in order to get a head count, we have to make sure that there's a full-time position, that there's enough work for that person to be full-time. We stand by grow people big and small. That is something that we say. You see it on our marketing, our advertising everywhere. And what we're talking about is growing the big, which is us, the teachers, the people in the corporate office, and then the small is the children. So internally here, we are always looking for those grow big opportunities. So we will reach out to anybody in the company internally first to see if we could pull somebody over that maybe has the skills, or because they already infused with the culture, right? We're always looking for the good culture fit. So can we bring them over and they can then help fill a need? And then it's not like adding a head count, it's just like shifting dollars around. So that's always a good place to start. But yeah, we just look at the number of people coming on board, because the franchisees just keep growing, and where we need to add. And it's really that business that's a weed, like it's growing like a weed. That's where we have to concentrate with the head count and making sure that we can give the support. And it is hard to bring somebody on, but if we do say, look, we set these ratios, we're at the ratio, we need to bring it, and they're like, okay, do it. You have to do it. They're great about hiring in advance of needs. I think that's one of the things we try to teach in our schools too. It's like, you have to have that bench of teachers to make sure that you can open those classrooms, because we're continuing to bring in potentials and convert them. So we need to make sure you have your classrooms open. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, I love the ratio support. I think I've also heard the almost like brand percentage and ratio support as well, where it's okay, budget and personnel is X% of our entire portfolio approach type thing too.
And we do that too. So we have percentages of people that work. It's interesting based on what we think they're going to spend time on, but sometimes that can change very easily depending on the trajectory of the business. So just have to keep an eye on it. I have weekly check-ins with my team, so they'll come in individually as well as the group meetings that we have. So always making sure everybody's doing okay. Let me know like when you feel like, especially for our graphic designer, like when we need to bring on a second person. You're handling like all the things, and you can imagine like all the requests that she gets.
Yeah.
In terms of people and being physically in the office, like people are like walking over to her desk all the time. I said, you have to get a sign that when she's going to get all those clocks.
Busy.
Be
just
back.
Like a little bit of head down work.
Like she's going to get a little clock, like available at 2 p.m. for conversations. Because I can only imagine like being interrupted so many times. It's like you're trying to be creative, and it's like, hello, can you help me?
Yeah.
So I try to stop people at the door, because I'm like the little police sitting here. I'm like, who do you need?
100%.
Yeah.
Which that kind of circles back to the strategy conversation too, because you're right. It's okay. You outline, where most of your time needs to be spent per brand for growth or investment. And then you do a gut check and you realize you're flipped. It's okay, hold on. Like literally this is sucking up time and effort.
Yes.
We need to stay focused on growth areas or XYZ. And it's painful to say no or to provide less resources in some area, because you're basically feeling like you're not doing as good of a job there. But it's like you can't peanut butter spread life when you've got multiple initiatives underway. Like
Absolutely.
You have to focus.
And I think that's where the growth comes with this team. It's I am always talking to them about how important they are and how they need to protect their time. Just giving them that autonomy to set the ground rules. This is how many days it's going to take me to do your project. No, I can't do that by this date. I can get it to you here. Like them be feeling empowered to set standards and for their own schedule, or coming to me and showing me what all the things that they have. And I have to say, okay, we have to bend on this one. This is the one we're going to have to push because this is the priority. So I will help them with that if they need that too.
Yeah. Yep. Love it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you talked about a designer specifically as well, because that is one of those roles where I hear most marketing teams, it's you're small, you're scrappy, but like usually there's a designer, either you've got a partner who's helping that piece with you or it's in-house, but it's always a consistent resource. I think there's like the Upworks of the world and the different places where you could easily get design help, but it's just one of those things that's not like easily outsourced. Like you want to have the values, the brand, like someone who truly gets it is just a huge efficiency win to have that type of resource.
She's excellent. Yeah. People will say, I walk in with my chicken scratch on a piece of paper. It looks like a preschool, and she turns it into something beautiful. It's magical. And it is really nice having that resource located here. She's done an amazing job and has really elevated the look and feel of the brand. And she does a great job of protecting the brand too. We all do. We're all like every night, we're like sending things around.
Brand police, not afraid of it.
No. So as a joke, so for Halloween, I'll have to send you the picture, but we dressed up as marketing nightmares.
Oh, that's so good.
The things that keep us up at night. So it was like, I actually won. I won 2 awards. I get it all into the Halloween, but I got best homemade costume and most creative or something. I was a tabling nightmare. So I had a pink tablecloth I was smoking a cigarette with I had a Red Hot Chili Peppers t-shirt on that had a lady's rear end on it, like a bikini bottom, and a hat. And my name was Cheryl, and I had a drink and a cigarette. And I was like, you want to enroll in my school? I was like, the whole thing out. But we had like homemade flyers as one of them. We had teachers out of uniform. Like it was hilarious. I'll have to send it to you. But these are the things that keep us up at night. It's the brand standards. We'll see posts that are put up like, oh God, we have to get that taken down. So it's
That's such a good group theme costume.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's very competitive here at the office. It's fun. I'll have to send you a picture. It's really fun.
I love it. You need to. All right. I know we're ending close to time, but I do want to ask one question because I know you just officially got your CFE. So congrats.
Thank you.
I talked to a lot of people who are like, oh, I want to do that, but haven't. So I'm just curious if you can share a little bit about the experience and what it was like.
Yeah, I think it's put together really well. I think you're able to chunk it out in sections that are good for your time. So it's self-paced, which I think helps with busy people trying to work and trying to do this on the side. One good thing I would recommend is if there's something like, I took the Fran Guard at IFA last year. I did it in person. That was super helpful. Like actually being in a room with 40 people and we're all working on it. That was fun. Like actually retain the information better. I'm a visual person. I work well with others, much better with others. I retain things. That was really nice. I did the marketing certificate part of the course as well, which I felt like a lot of that was really validating for what we're doing. So it was really helpful there. I tried to cram in a bunch of things actually during the Christmas holiday because I thought I had till February to finish and it had to be done by December 31st. So I was trying to do things at the end of the year to get it done. But it was really good to wrap it up because I do every day. So it was really nice to do that. But I would recommend it. I think it's worth it, especially if you're just getting into franchising. There's so many good things in there that help explain things to you. And just the franchise side of the business, it's so different than any other industry because you're dealing with other people and trying to make them successful, but there's a fine line on how you can help them, the things you can say. As you can see, I didn't make any financial representations in this podcast today. I just kept mentioning the performa, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. So just knowing those things and being careful about how you approach stuff and all the labor laws, and it's just good to know those types of things. So I recommend it.
Yeah, nice. Congrats. Thanks again for joining today. I've loved chatting with you. I know we could probably go another hour, so this was awesome, and we'll have to do it again sometime.
Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. Thanks, Erin.
Thanks for listening to The Art of Franchise Marketing. This show is brought to you by NetCertive. We help franchise brands and multi-location businesses run localized digital marketing at scale. To learn more, visit netsertive.com.